Hey everyone, I'm Dr. J.
And I'm Dr. T, and today we are going to talk to our moms about postpartum. We don't talk a lot about postpartum, and we think it is very, very helpful, and it's something that should be planned for. Through pregnancy, we eat and we know that our baby is getting the proper nutrition. But once baby is here, it is so important to plan. And we're going to talk about nutrition for ourselves, a little bit for baby, breastfeeding, stretches, movement, breathing. But truly, sometimes people will ask, how long is postpartum? What identifies as the fourth trimester? And you can see different answers or read different answers. There's one mom that may go back to work after being out for just 2 weeks, or the yoga instructor that her body just seems to bounce back. But it's going to be so important not to compare yourself to other people, and maybe not even compare your third pregnancy to your first and your second, because it is different every time. So how long is it? Is it days, months, years? I read in a book, which the book's called Fourth Trimester, and she said the best answer she was ever given was 10 years. And the point wasn't that it takes 10 years to heal. The point is, when you set your mindset on that healing takes time, that you don't have to be in a rush. That's so important when it comes to postpartum in the fourth trimester. So give yourself grace. We're going to talk about the first days of postpartum when baby's here. It's called the lying in period, where you should be lying in and resting. No pressure on yourself at all. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, so this is actually a big thing in a lot of other cultures, and our culture is so fast-paced that it's not something we typically take time for. I believe we saw a stat that said like 25% of people go back to work after 5 weeks postpartum. But remember, just giving yourself grace through this time as well, because it is a time to slow down and a time to actually bond as a family unit. So bonding with a baby, bonding with your partner or spouse, and really just creating that connection within the whole unit.
And there doesn't have to be like creating this rhythm, because it'll probably change in a few weeks. But knowing that resting is important, sleeping for yourself is important. Baby will do a lot of sleeping the first 4 weeks anyway. Not that you'll sleep when baby sleeps, but I'm just saying baby's sleeping because baby's growing. Baby's learning how to find your breast if you're breastfeeding. So there's learning curves for everybody, baby and you. So slow down, take baths, just know that it is important. Another thing we have up here on the slide is placenta encapsulation. That is where you can dry the placenta and encapsulate it. Now, that's a choice you make before baby's here, before delivery, obviously. There are doulas in the area that can do that. But what that is you encapsulate, and that's for when you get, which by the way, in postpartum, your hormones dip, so that would be classified as baby blues. But when you have some other hormone dips later on around month 3 or month 6, that's where placenta encapsulation could be helpful. So there's not tons of research on it, but in other cultures, they do consume and ingest the placenta. And it's shown to have increased energy. It's shown to help you heal quicker and bond with baby better. And it can also help increase your milk supply. One thing I don't have on the slide, but that can also help with milk supply, is coconut water. So drinking coconut water can help hydrate you and increase your milk supply. Side note. But that's an option. Look more into it if it's something you're curious about and interested in.
I will say there's also just a small handful of people where it has the opposite effect. So just so you're aware, it sometimes pushes more people into postpartum blues and depression. It doesn't happen all often, but small chance that potentially would happen. And if it does, just stop taking them.
That's you would take them later, like save them for months later. I think that's why it's safe, not right away.
Okay, so the other things that we have up there are pelvic floor PT, which we do have some resources at the end for you guys of listing a couple of PTs in the area. But actually, you can seek a pelvic floor PT even during the prenatal period or before. So if you're thinking about conception, that would also be a helpful period to just get in touch with your body, which if you are doing pelvic floor PT beforehand too, can actually help with labor and delivery as well, of just wanting to push and so forth. And then a sitz bath is always something that could be helpful postpartum after you've had the baby. It's designed to help decrease swelling, can help clean the area, can help with hemorrhoids. So sitz bath just looks like filling your bathtub with just a little bit of water that you're sitting in. I would say like not even a third of the way full. It's just like waist down is going to be covered with some warm water. You can add Epsom salt or some herbal teas to help with the soothing and healing and inflammation process. And just soaking for about 15, 20 minutes at a time if you get that chance.
Yeah. There are some that you can buy off Amazon that go on the toilet as well. So something to look into in your prep period, in your third trimester. So we're going to jump into some cool things, some warm things for you to eat.
There you go.
There are some nourishing principles. One of the first things is eating warm foods and soups as you go into postpartum, because raw food and cold food is actually harder on your digestion. And after just delivery and labor, that was like a marathon for your body, and your digestive system is actually pretty worn out. And so warm foods and soups can actually be very healing to your body as well.
We talk about hydration because hydration can help actually heal and replenish the body as well. Yeah. So you'll want to consume lots of water, especially if you are breastfeeding, about 10 to 15 glasses per day, if not more. But not just water too. You'll want to think about electrolytes, and we're also going to talk a little bit about bone broth as well in just a moment. We want to talk about eating nutrient-dense and anti-inflammatory diet, just getting more nutrition into your body as much as possible. Those whole foods is really what we're after, and that gets you all the vitamins and minerals that you will need to repair and rebuild your body. And at the same time, if you're breastfeeding, you will help the baby grow and develop as well. And then also taking supplements. We're going to list a few supplements that could be helpful in this healing journey.
Yep.
So
some of the first restorative foods, like Dr. J said, we have some teas listed here, some mother's milk tea. We really like the brand Traditional Medicinals when it comes to tea, all tea, because all their teas are organic. So we know they're safer on the body and the liver. So mother's milk just helps with milk production. And then Smooth Move tea is something that I always suggest to use like the first few days or even during labor. Because we actually want our bowels to be soft and less pressure down there. So Smooth Move tea can definitely help prepare and soften stools as well.
There's also Earth Mama. They have a really good brand of tea as well that could be helpful. So that tea that I have up there, the periodic tea, is actually, you can use that not during prenatal, but you can use it for period cramps, and then you can also use it for postpartum healing, just not during pregnancy at all. But that could also be a very helpful tea for you. The other thing that we have up there is bone broth and soups. So again, warm foods to help digest in the body easier. They can be more nourishing and just more comforting to your body in general. Bone broth has proline and glycine in it, and that is what helps repair and rebuild things, building blocks of collagen.
Yep. It also has electrolytes in it as well. So bone broth truly is going to be like liquid gold to you. So we love bone broth. It's soothing to the soul, just like the book, Chicken Soup for the Soul.
Ooh, there you go.
They were after something there. And then crock pot meals. We probably mentioned this later, but like, it is so good to have food prep for delivery and like those first few weeks. I know some families, their supportive care will prepare a meal train where family members bring meals to them, which is so helpful. And then if you prepare your own meals and you freeze them, having the crock pot available is just, easier. That is also going to be important months later when support is gone. But for right now, eating those warm foods is definitely going to be very good.
I would also say crockpot meals are just easier to prepare. It's like set it and forget it is how I like to think about it. So as long as you throw a few things in there, it can be a pretty useful tool in my opinion. I'm not postpartum at all, but I think just putting food in and just having to not really tend to it or care for it for a couple hours could be very helpful, and less time consuming than actually cooking a real meal.
And you just eat
it. Hopefully it's tasty.
So some direct foods and some of their benefits are going to be, we listed a few. There's so many more out there, some foods that we love are going to be avocados. They feed the brain. They are full of mono and polysaturated fats, and that actually helps your body absorb fat-soluble vitamins such as vitamin D, vitamin A, K, all those things. So having a nice healthy fat feeds your brain, but helps other fats get absorbed in your body. Figs help lower blood pressure, which will be nice, and loaded with potassium and minerals and antioxidants, and they help protect the heart. And they're a good little treat because they are sweeter. Bananas help moderate blood sugar and aid in digestion. And then berries, we know that they're high in antioxidants. My favorite are blueberries, but all berries are very helpful, and they neutralize free radicals and repair DNA damage, which would be the free radicals. And then I want to throw in some healthy snack ideas. Like, let's just be realistic. One of my favorite snack ideas that I even currently do, I personally just try to eat more protein in my diet, because one of my downfalls is I don't eat enough protein. And when you are breastfeeding, it is important to eat and eat as much as you can, because breastfeeding actually burns a lot of calories. I don't know how many off the top of my head, but it burns a lot of calories. Like, this is something you're doing daily, multiple times a day, hours a day. So it's so important to get your nutrients. So cottage cheese, it's one of my favorites. A couple tablespoons of cottage cheese on the fly can give you up to 20 grams of protein per serving. So that's an easy way. If you want to sweeten it up with some fruit, you can. Yogurt, also a full fat yogurt. I like to get the goat's milk yogurt from Whole Foods. And that also can have a decent amount of protein, 10 to 20 grams per serving.
Nice.
And then nori is seaweed. You can have those little seaweed snack packs. They have those at Trader Joe's. I think Whole Foods, they're the more out there now at the grocery stores. But what I wanted to mention with seaweed is it can detoxify the body, and it helps the womb contract, and also can help with increasing breast milk as well. So those are some helpful things.
Helpful snacks to have on hand. Even like a protein powder or something simple like that would be helpful to just have maybe in a plastic bag if you're on the go or something like that. And then even like nut butters and things of that. So they're also fat and a little bit of protein with it as well. Can help keep you more satiated and satisfied. And again, help rebuild and repair your own body. At the same time, helping baby if you're breastfeeding.
Yeah. And we also have like dry figs up there and dry fruit. And it's okay to have some of those sugars, because again, you are burning calories. So it's important to even have some of those healthier sugars too. Supplements that are awesome. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to start with the omegas and what we have up there. Omegas are GLA. When you're having a fish or looking at a omega, you're looking for DHA and EPA. Those not only help your body, but they also help the baby in building their brain as well. If you're not doing a supplement, you can also look for it in like beef and chicken, eggs, and the other oils that we have listed up there. You will find some omegas in those.
Absolutely. Collagen, as Dr. J mentioned earlier, is found in bone broth. So collagen is found in there. And then the amino acids, the proline and the glycine, help your body actually make more collagen. So getting that through bone broth, and also the one that we have pictured up there, I really like the Vital Proteins one. I actually use it currently. And that's an easy way just to get collagen. That one's tasteless, so you can add it to drinks, smoothies, coffee, tea, whatever you need. So that helps with skin elasticity, and even the physical repair of the womb as well.
We have a homeopathy thing up there. It's called, I want to say it's sepia is how you pronounce it.
Sepia.
And it's just it's an herb, it's a supplement that is designed to help rebalance your hormones as well postpartum. So we'll actually talk about this in the next few slides about where our hormones are at, what levels are dropping once you're postpartum. But it can help with a little bit of postpartum anxiety and depression those baby blues.
And the last one is vitamin D. We recommend just baseline 5,000 IUs a day, which would be, if you're taking ours at the office, that or the one that's pictured, that's 1 capsule. And that helps replenish vitamin D because you might be depleted from birth. But your baby also gets vitamin D through your breast milk because it's fat soluble. So what that means is it's boosting their immune system, and it's still helping their brain development as well, and their bone development as well. So vitamin D is awesome.
Here it is, that timeline that I was just talking about.
That timeline.
Yes. So there's a lot of words on here, but we wanted to go through with you so you kind of understand some things that are happening within your body that could be helpful a couple months down the road, because a lot of us are more focused, I would say, maybe on just what's happening in the prenatal period and the delivery period, but we're not really set up for success, 3-6 months, even a year down the road. So just some ideas for you guys.
So in the very beginning, as soon as we give birth, our estrogen and our progesterone, they plummet. They just hit the floor. And this is where it's important to bond with baby, but this is where we could have those, what they're called baby blues in the very beginning, first few weeks. But this is also where prolactin and oxytocin increase tremendously. Prolactin helps the stimulation of milk production, and oxytocin is that feel-good hormone, and that's what helps you bond with baby. This is where that skin-to-skin contact is so important. Now, up to 3 to 6 months in or later, after baby's here, estrogen and progesterone return. So this is 3 months later, our hormones are starting to level out, and they're returning. Now, when estrogen and progesterone return, this is where we're going to have more of that temporary hair loss. We make jokes, but during your prenatal phase, your hair is luscious and all that. But this is where some of that excess hair is lost because of your hormones. This is where you'll start to feel some of the biggest shifts, or you might even have an emotional dip. And to be prepared for that, this is where I'm talking about trying to be as prepared by meal planning, having some frozen meals. There are also some doulas that you can hire to come to the house for like 2-3 hours. They do light housework to help you out. They also can help cook for you. This would be a great gift for your new moms that are in your life or yourself. So if you don't know what to ask for maybe a couple hours of doula help around that 3 to 6 month period, maybe 3 to 4 month period, because this is also the time where your parents go home, your mom goes home, your husband goes back to work. So this is where you actually still need some support, and the support you have might return. It might go. So you need some help. And then the last part is 6 months down the road. This is where there's a decrease in prolactin. So you start to decrease in milk production. And this is where your baby might get fussy sometimes, but it's important to know the difference between fore milk and hind milk. So fore milk is the beginning letdown. Think of it as skim milk from your breast. And then as your baby continues to feed, they get more of that hind milk. And hind milk you could consider to be whole milk, that fattier milk. It's very nutritious. And then around 6 months, they're actually getting more hind milk, the fattier milk. So it soothes them. It's still nutrient dense, but it is good for them to still have. Follow your baby's hunger cues. So if they're hungry, try to encourage them to keep feeding to get more of that high milk. Some moms, and this is at any stage of breastfeeding, but some moms could pump. If they have a lot of fore milk, this is where babies might be gassy because it's a lighter milk and hind milk's heavier. So their stomachs aren't as full. So you could pump a little bit to skim off the fore milk and then have your baby breastfeed to get more hind milk to keep them fuller and less gassy.
Nice. Those are some good tips. Love it. So the next thing I wanted to talk about and mention was just breath work. And this is some very basic, easy movement that you can do for yourself that will get you back in touch, hopefully with your body and connecting with your not only diaphragm, but your pelvic floor, because again, you just probably went through a major birth event I don't want to say trauma because it wasn't trauma, but you just went through major body change.
Marathon.
And so, marathon, and getting back in touch with everything would be helpful. So this is one of the first things that you can do to actually bring everything back together. And you can even do this within a couple of days, if not the first day postpartum, because it's just basic breathing. And so what you want to think about it, because it's very gentle movement, right? Just breathing, is how your rib cage contracts and expands. It should be a 360 breath. So I do this because if this is your rib cage, everything should move at the same time as we breathe in and then contract together. But at the same time, when you breathe in, you're inhaling, your diaphragm and your pelvic floor come down. And then when you exhale, everything actually lifts back up. So breathing, again, in and out with the rib cage, but it also should look like things lowering and then raising again. And you should feel that as you're taking a big inhale, that if you put your hands on your rib cage, I'm going to stand. So hands on the rib cage, you should feel everything here increase and my belly kind of expands. But you don't want to only breathe through just your stomach. You want to make sure that your rib cage is moving too. So that is our diaphragm and our pelvic floor moving right there. And then as you exhale, everything comes back together. And so that would be a good thing to do to start training your core muscles and get everything re-engaged again. You can even re-engage your pelvic floor, just basic movements to help begin retraining the body. Again, it's not that we're trying to heal everything all at once, and just breathing is not going to heal just your core and your pelvic floor, but it is a good start to get everything moving in sync again.
Yeah, that's great.
I'll have it at the end too. So at the end, we do talk about, there's a couple apps that you can use and a couple like going to the pelvic floor PT that could be helpful also in re-engagement. But again, this diaphragmatic breathing is the very, very first step that you can do a couple of days after having the baby.
Yeah, I love that. And I know even some of the pelvic floor PTs will teach you what you need to do for breathing. And I think breathing can also help with diastasis recti as well to heal. So it's a great start to movement. Speaking of movement, there are, if you are breastfeeding, you know how much that mid back can really burn and be tender and hurt, just because you're in that baby cradle position for so long. And even if you're not breastfeeding, you're still feeding and you're holding baby for periods of time. So your mid back will get sore. So some movements we have listed here, the first couple are for that mid back. So the first one is interlace fingers or the neck roll. So you can put your hands up, interlace your fingers, put your hands up, and then just lean to one side, stretch out your obliques, lean to the other side, stretch it out. While you're here, you can try and extend up to the ceiling and then come back down, stretch your arms out. No, you're good. And then the other one is just rolling your neck some one side, slowly to the other side, just to get some movement in those intrinsic neck muscles. The next one's a head cradle. I really like this one. It feels good to do. So I don't know if you can see me, but you interlace your fingers again, put them behind your head, and you put your elbows in front of your face, and you arch your back a little bit, and you just push your head into your hands. So push and then push back with your head, and that'll really open up the front because you've been doing this. So that'll open up across your chest too.
Nice.
Just feels good to stretch.
Absolutely.
Reclining foot strap. So this is where you lay on your back, which feels good to do in general because you haven't been able to do that. But you lay on your back and you grab a towel, or if you have a band, and you put it behind your toes and you pull. So you're stretching basically the back of your leg. But if you raise your leg, you're bringing your hips in more by doing that. So we have a lot of moms that will do prenatal yoga, which when you do prenatal yoga, I love it. I think it's great. It's a lot of hip openers because you're getting your pelvis ready to birth. But prenatal yoga is not helpful for postpartum. You want to do postpartum, postnatal yoga because those are going to be movements that help gel your hips back together. So you're trying to close your hips now and bring everything back together. Nice. So it's different movements. We do encourage it. Just make sure you shift which kind of yoga you do.
When should we start some of these exercises, do you think?
That's great. I would give it 4 weeks. I would give it some time. You can even just, when you're breastfeeding initially, if you want to just do your neck rolls, you can do that anytime. That'll feel good just to stretch. But when it comes to yoga, I would wait until after you do some breathing exercises. Breathing, like you said, is going to be the most important in the beginning. And then the movement can start more weeks later. Listen to your body. You know your body best.
Awesome. Also, if you are a patient in the office, we just wanted to shout out that home care kit. So super important. But those are some of the basic movement exercises. You're getting more motion through your spine and through your body. And overall, again, that should help with that breastfeeding mom hunched over position. It should help open up your neck when you do the traction unit and help loosen up your low back from maybe sitting for longer periods. So again, don't be afraid to jump on your home care. You don't have to go crazy, just small, light movements, whatever your body can handle. Just make sure you're listening to yourself. You know what you'll need.
Yeah. And to end, we want to resource you. It's great to get chiropractic care in your postpartum phase. You can come in whenever you're most comfortable. We've seen moms hours and in a couple of days after birth. We've seen them weeks after birth. That's always up to you. It does help with the healing of your hips and your mid-back. But we want to resource you with other great resources. So some local resources for pelvic floor PT are Taylor PT and Relief PT. They're both the pelvic floor specialists. And then there are postpartum doulas. These girls are amazing. Natural baby doulas. They do some placenta encapsulation that I talked about. They also do the help at home, so you can ask them about that. Some workout ideas, inner strength Pilates. She also helps with the diastasis recti healing. And then some apps are going to be the Every Mother app. Birth Fit is a program online, and Expecting and Empowered is also a program online, right?
Yeah. So Birth Fit even has a prenatal workout as well. They have postpartum healing ideas for you as well, like workouts and things that you can start doing. And so does Every Mother app is more postpartum. And then Inner Strength Pilates, just want to say that she is actually here in town. So if you'd rather go see someone in person rather than doing an app, she is great, or they're great.
The fourth trimester was a great resource, in my opinion. It talks about your emotional health afterwards. It talks about what things can look like in the bedroom after baby. It talks about food. There's resources in the back that are very practical in the appendix. So I really like the fourth trimester book, and
it's very easy to read too.
Easy read. That's what I was going to say.
Very helpful.
Just very practical.
Crockpot. So when I mentioned crockpot earlier, it's nice to have recipes. So you can just go online and Google crockpot ideas. I believe New Leaf Wellness is a paid subscription type thing, but you could also use a meal service as well. I forgot to mention that earlier. So like HelloFresh or is it Blue Apron?
Blue Apron might be Publix. The same thing. There's Home Chef, HelloFresh. Just a meal service. I even have personally done that with busy seasons of life where it's just easier. You do have to cook those meals, but it's still helpful with the shopping and having everything right there.
Yeah, when you're short on time.
And then the last thing is Mom League. They are new to Winston as of this past year. They are awesome people. A couple ladies started Mom League they have a very postpartum section where you can join Mom League. It's about 6 to 8 week classes and resources where they connect with each other. And I want to say it's the first few weeks, when baby's 6 to 8 weeks old. And then they also are starting a new class, I believe, for more toddlers. So check them out. They're doing great things in the area, and we think they're awesome people.
Thanks for joining us today. We really hope that this has empowered you and hopefully resourced you with some good ideas.
Yeah. If anything, just start preparing. If you are pregnant, just start preparing for that postpartum phase at home.
We'll see y'all next time.
Bye.